The station shook violently as alarms blared through every corridor. Sparks danced across broken panels, and the smell of scorched metal filled the air. Captain Elias Kane gritted his teeth, steadying himself against the trembling railing of the evacuation hub. Ships were docking, shuttles were launching, and chaos reigned. Humans and Velari alike scrambled to escape the collapsing space station orbiting the dying planet of Zalaris 9. The war between humans and the Velari had been fierce, and though a fragile truce existed in some sectors, here it had crumbled entirely. Elias scanned the crowd, his eyes sharp. Most humans obeyed the evacuation protocols strictly, shepherding their own people to safety. Velari refugees, with their unusual pale blue skin and luminous eyes, were largely ignored. Fear and prejudice still ran deep, despite shared survival interests. A voice over the station intercom warned that the next attack wave would arrive in moments. The walls trembled again, throwing people off balance. Then he saw the child. A small Velari, no older than 8, crouched beside a broken cargo crate, tears streaming down her pale cheeks. Her luminous eyes reflected the flickering lights, wide with terror. She was alone. Her mother was nowhere in sight, and the evacuation was moving too quickly for anyone to stop. Elias' instincts kicked in. Most would have passed her by, leaving her to the fate of the incoming drones or collapsing corridors. But Elias could not. He moved quickly, weaving through the chaos, ignoring shouted warnings from his subordinates. "Captain Kane, get back to the shuttle." "I can't leave her," he shouted over the roar of sirens. He reached the child just as a section of the floor above collapsed, sending debris crashing around them. With a surge of adrenaline, he scooped her into his arms. Her small body trembled violently, but she clung to him instinctively, recognizing that he was not a threat. "Don't worry, I've got you," he said, his voice steady, though his heart pounded like a drum. He ducked under falling metal beams and dived through gaps as the station shook. The evacuation plan he had trained for 100 times in simulations now felt useless. Real danger was different. It was unpredictable and alive. A drone zipped past, its sensors locking onto the pair. It fired a stun beam that sizzled past his shoulder. Elias rolled to the side, pulling the child with him. He ducked behind a storage container, catching his breath for a split second. He studied the control panel beside him and realized he could hack the station's defense grid to temporarily shut down the drones. His fingers flew over the console, bypassing security codes, tapping into the human knowledge he had mastered for emergencies like this. A flicker of hope crossed his mind. Humanity's ingenuity might just save them yet. With a hiss and a flash of light, the drones froze midair. The child's wide eyes stared at the strange humans who had kept her alive for so long, even as her own species had been enemies. Elias didn't waste a second. He pulled her toward a maintenance corridor he had used in simulations, narrow and frail, but likely to be overlooked. The station trembled again, stronger this time. Panels fell like raindrops and sparks showered them as they ran. "Almost there," he whispered, feeling the child relax slightly in his arms. She clutched his jacket, her small fingers squeezing tightly. They reached an airlock, a cramped space with one shuttle preparing to launch. But the doors were locked. Elias cursed under his breath, examining the keypad. He could override it, but doing so would take precious seconds, seconds the station might not give them. Suddenly, a deep, melodic voice echoed through the corridor. "Kiri, where are you?" The child's eyes lit up, and she pointed toward the shadows. Through the flickering lights, Elias saw the Velari mother, Lyra, rushing toward them. Her flowing robes brushed the ground as she ran, her expression a mix of fear, relief, and anger. "You have her," Lyra said, her voice firm. There was no malice, only authority. "Do not harm her." "I won't," Elias said quickly, lowering the child gently. "I just wanted to get her to safety." Lyra's eyes softened slightly as she examined him. She seemed to sense his genuine intent, though her body tensed, ready to act at any moment. The station shook again, and debris fell dangerously close. "Move," Elias shouted, grabbing a nearby control panel. He bypassed the lock and opened the airlock with a hiss. The shuttle doors opened just as another tremor shook the station. Lyra grabbed Kiri's hand and pulled her inside, glancing at Elias. "You risked yourself for my child," she said quietly. Her voice carried the weight of her people's gratitude, and for a moment it felt as though time slowed around them. "I just did what anyone would do," Elias said, brushing dust off his uniform. "Not everyone," she replied, a small smile breaking through her tension. "You are unusual for a human." Elias hesitated, not sure how to respond. He had always been called brave, skilled, or clever, but this recognition from an alien mother felt different. It was deeper. The shuttle lifted off as the station groaned violently, tearing itself apart. Sparks and metal rained from above, and the shaking intensified. Elias leaned against the wall, heart pounding, watching as the station disintegrated behind them. Kiri clung to her mother, looking over at him with wide, uncertain eyes. As the shuttle stabilized, Lyra stepped closer to Elias. "You saved her," she said again, more firmly this time. "I will not forget it." Elias nodded, unsure what to say. Words felt inadequate. He had trained for every possible combat scenario, every emergency evacuation, but nothing prepared him for the weight of gratitude from another species, especially one he had once considered an enemy. The shuttle pilot glanced back at him. "We've got a clear path to the nearest safe colony. You've done enough for one day, Kane." Elias gave a small nod, though his mind was still on the child and her mother. He had acted without thought of reward, yet the impact of his choice was profound. Kiri looked at him, and for a brief moment her fear seemed to lessen. Trust was a fragile thing, especially between species, but he had earned a piece of it. Lyra turned to him as the stars streaked past the shuttle's viewport. "Your actions will be remembered among my people," she said softly. "You have shown what it means to care for life, even when it is not yours to protect." Elias shrugged, brushing his hands together. "I just did what I thought was right." The shuttle descended toward the safe colony, a sprawling human Velari settlement built after years of uneasy cooperation. Civilians were everywhere, some tending to wounded, others ensuring supplies reached the newcomers. Kiri clung to Lyra, her luminous eyes still wide but calmer now. Lyra finally spoke again, her voice carrying a weight Elias did not expect. "I will require something of you in the future, Captain Kane." Elias blinked, caught off guard. "Something?" "Yes," she said, her gaze steady. "For saving my child, I will not forget. You have shown your worth, your courage, your humanity. One day, I will ask that you continue to protect her in a way only a parent can." The words hung in the air. Elias had faced impossible odds before, battled enemies who outnumbered him 10-1, survived situations that would have killed a lesser man. But this request carried a different kind of weight. It was not about orders, strategy, or survival. It was about trust, responsibility, and forming a bond across species. Elias did not answer immediately. He had no idea what she truly meant, only that the Velari saw something in him worth honoring. He realized then that humanity's strength was more than physical skill or strategic thinking. It was compassion, empathy, and the ability to act rightly even when the odds were against them. As the shuttle landed, alarms signaled incoming shuttles from other sectors, some bringing more refugees, others carrying military personnel. The colony buzzed with activity, but Elias' mind lingered on the child and her mother. Kiri looked at him again, a small, tentative smile crossing her face. Lyra's eyes followed, thoughtful and unwavering. For the first time in years, Elias felt the full weight of his choices. He had saved a life that was not his own, challenged his own people's expectations, and acted on instinct and morality rather than protocol. In that simple act, he had proven the essence of humanity: clever, brave, compassionate, and willing to act for the greater good. Later, as he helped guide more Velari and human refugees to temporary shelters, he noticed Lyra speaking quietly with elders of her people. Every few moments, she glanced at him, her expression unreadable yet meaningful. He realized that their bond was only beginning, and the consequences of his decision would ripple far beyond the immediate crisis. When night fell over the colony, Elias stood outside the temporary shelter, gazing up at the stars. Somewhere among them, the remnants of the destroyed station drifted silently, a reminder of what had been lost and what had been saved. He could not have predicted the future, nor the challenges that awaited him, but he knew one thing. Humanity had made its mark that day, not with weapons, but with courage and heart. Kiri's laughter echoed faintly from the shelter as Lyra guided her inside. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Whatever lay ahead, he had already proven something important, that a single human could stand against fear, prejudice, and chaos and make a difference. And that difference, fragile though it was, could change the fate of more than one species. As the colony settled into a tense quiet, Elias' mind wandered back to Lyra's words. The weight of her request, veiled in cultural significance, lingered like a shadow. He had no idea what it meant to be a parental protector in Velari society, nor what responsibilities it would demand. But he knew this. If the future required courage, wisdom, and heart, humanity had already shown it in him, and he would not falter. Above the quiet colony, the stars burned bright, endless and indifferent. But in their small corner of the universe, Elias Kane had made a choice that mattered. And as he watched Kiri's small silhouette following her mother, a quiet determination settled in him. Whatever lay ahead, he would rise to meet it. Because that was what humans did. The morning sun rose over the colony with a soft, pale light, casting long shadows across the makeshift shelters and landing pads. Captain Elias Kane stood near the edge of the settlement, watching ships come and go. The memory of saving the Velari child, Kiri, still weighed on his mind, but it was nothing compared to the weight of what Lyra, Kiri's mother, had said the night before. Her words lingered like a shadow in his thoughts. She wanted him to be Kiri's protector in a way that only a parent could. Elias didn't understand exactly what that meant. Velari culture was complex and layered with traditions he had never studied. But he did know one thing: trust in Velari society was not given lightly, and he had earned a piece of it, though now it came with responsibility. Lyra approached him quietly, her flowing robes brushing against the dirt path. She moved with a grace that reminded him of wind through tall grass, each step deliberate yet effortless. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice calm but firm, "the council of my people will want to meet you today. They wish to understand if you are worthy of the role you will play in Kiri's life." Elias nodded. "I'll do whatever you require. I only want what is best for her." She studied him for a moment, her luminous eyes unreadable. Then she turned, motioning for him to follow. The path led them to a large domed building at the center of the colony. Humans were not permitted inside unless accompanied by Velari, but Lyra made no apology or explanation. The doors opened for them automatically, sliding aside with a soft hiss, revealing a council chamber filled with Velari elders. They were tall and elegant, their eyes shimmering with quiet authority. Kiri sat near her mother, her small hand clutching Lyra's, eyes darting nervously at Elias. The head of the council, an elder with skin like moonlight and a calm but piercing gaze, spoke first. "Captain Kane, your actions during the evacuation were observed. You chose to save a life that was not yours to protect. Such decisions define character. We wish to know if your heart and skill are worthy of Kiri's future." Elias took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I acted because it was the right thing to do. I couldn't leave a child behind, and I will continue to act in her best interest to protect her however I can." There was a pause. The council members exchanged subtle glances. Lyra's hand tightened on Kiri's shoulder. "Your words carry honesty," the head elder said. But actions must also prove intention. Will you undergo the trials our people deem necessary to demonstrate your commitment? Elias nodded without hesitation. I will. The trials were not simple. They were designed to test not only skill and courage, but patience, intelligence, and empathy, qualities essential for any Velari protector. The first trial involved navigating a training course set in the dense forest of the colony's protected zone. Sensors simulated environmental hazards, requiring quick thinking, adaptability, and careful observation. Elias moved with precision, using his human ingenuity to bypass traps, identify safe paths, and guide Kiri, who was observing closely, through simulated dangers. Kiri's laughter rang out when Elias showed her how to jump across a shallow ravine safely. Like this, he said, demonstrating a careful leap. She copied him, wobbling at first but then landing steadily. Her smile was a spark of light in the forest shadows, and Lyra watched from a distance, her expression softening as she saw the bond forming between Elias and her child. The second trial tested leadership and decision-making. The council presented a simulated crisis. A section of the colony's energy grid had been sabotaged by rogue factions, threatening both human and Velari lives. Elias had to coordinate a team of humans and Velari to contain the damage and prevent disaster. He studied the layout of the grid and devised a plan. Human engineers were dispatched to stabilize the main power conduits, while Velari, with their heightened senses, monitored environmental anomalies that humans might miss. Elias moved between teams, giving clear instructions and adjusting strategies as new threats emerged. His quick thinking and calm demeanor inspired confidence in both humans and Velari alike. The council watched closely. You demonstrate both strategy and empathy, the head elder noted afterward. Your decisions respect life and consider the well-being of all. This is rare among humans. The final trial was the most personal. Elias was given the opportunity to show his care directly for Kiri. In a simulated emergency, the child was placed in a room filled with disorienting lights and noises, designed to test instinctive responses. Elias entered without hesitation. He spoke softly, guiding her calmly through fear, reassuring her that he would keep her safe. She followed him without hesitation, trusting him completely. When he emerged with her, the council members exchanged approving nods. Lyra's eyes shone with quiet pride. You have shown your worth, she said, her voice full of warmth for the first time. You understand what it means to protect not only life but trust and hope. The formal ceremony followed. Elias knelt before the council as Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. By the traditions of my people, I declare you Kiri's chosen protector, she said. You are now a parent in all ways that matter in our society. Her life is yours to guide, protect, and nurture. Elias felt a mix of surprise, humility, and responsibility. I will honor this trust, he said sincerely. I will do everything in my power to keep her safe. Kiri ran forward and hugged him tightly. Thank you, Captain Kane, she whispered, her small voice full of relief and happiness. Elias smiled, feeling an unexpected warmth in his chest, but their trials were far from over. Word spread quickly that humans were capable of protecting Velari, and this drew attention, both welcome and hostile. Rogue factions, suspicious of any human-Velari alliances, began testing the colony's defenses. It was only a matter of time before real danger arrived. Weeks passed as Elias and Kiri settled into their new roles. He taught her simple lessons in problem-solving, self-defense, and critical thinking, always careful to respect her limits. Kiri absorbed the lessons eagerly, showing intelligence and bravery that reminded Elias of why he had risked everything to save her. Lyra observed closely, stepping back to allow the bond to form naturally, yet ready to intervene if necessary. Then one day, the test came in the form of an unexpected attack. A group of rogue Velari, distrustful of human intentions, infiltrated the colony, aiming to sabotage key infrastructure. Elias was informed immediately. His first thought was Kiri and Lyra. The safety of those he now considered family was paramount. He coordinated a defense strategy using both human and Velari skills. Humans monitored systems and handled logistics, while Velari with heightened senses scanned for intruders. Elias moved swiftly, directing teams with authority and clear reasoning. The rogue faction was clever, but Elias' combination of quick thinking and creativity turned the tide. When they breached the inner compound, Elias personally led the effort to stop them, showing no fear despite being outnumbered. He used both intelligence and ingenuity, creating diversions and using the terrain to his advantage. The Velari, seeing a human fight not just for survival but for the safety of their own child, were impressed. His actions spoke louder than any words ever could. After the battle, Lyra approached Elias, her expression a mixture of relief and admiration. "You have proven your strength and your heart," she said, "not only for Kiri but for my people. You have earned a place among us in ways few humans ever will." Elias shook his head, exhausted but satisfied. "I did what I had to do. We all did. That's how humans survive and care for others." Kiri ran up to him, eyes sparkling. "I'm glad you're my protector," she said simply. Her words, pure and earnest, carried more weight than any ceremony or praise. The colony began to flourish with this new alliance. Humans and Velari worked side by side, learning from each other, sharing skills and building a community based on trust rather than fear. Elias, though still a soldier at heart, found a new purpose, guiding, protecting, and nurturing life in a way he had never imagined. As nights fell over the colony, Elias would often look at the stars, thinking of the destroyed station, the dangers they had faced, and the choices that had led him here. Humanity had once again proven itself, not only capable of survival and ingenuity, but of compassion, bravery, and the ability to form bonds that transcended species. Lyra often stood beside him during these quiet moments, observing him, sometimes speaking softly about Kiri's progress or the future of their alliance. It was a relationship built on mutual respect and recognition of shared values. Though Elias had not fully understood what being a parental protector meant at first, he now realized it was more than just guardianship. It was teaching, guiding, and standing as a constant presence in a young life. One evening, as the colony rested under a sky filled with distant stars, Kiri approached Elias with a small, hand-carved token, a simple star-shaped piece of wood painted with bright colors. "For you," she said shyly, "so you can always remember we trust you." Elias took it, touched by the gesture. "I will keep it safe," he promised, "just like I will keep you safe." Lyra watched silently, pride and gratitude shining in her eyes. The trials, the battles, the trust, they had all led to this moment. Humanity's potential, shown through one man's courage and compassion, had altered the course of lives and created an unexpected alliance that promised hope for the future. The colony continued to grow, humans and Velari working side by side. And through it all, Elias Kane stood as a protector, a mentor, and a bridge between species. The galaxy beyond would one day hear of the human who saved an alien child, defied prejudice, and showed that courage, ingenuity, and heart could unite even the most unlikely of allies. And Kiri, once a frightened child hiding among debris, now laughed and learned, guided by a human who had chosen to act rightly, proving that one decision could change the future for many. In the quiet moments between the bustle of daily life, Elias often reflected on what had happened. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, full of dangers yet brimming with opportunities for courage and compassion. Humanity's mark was small but significant, and in the small corner of the universe where humans and Velari lived together, that mark shone brightly. Because this was what humans did, They survived, adapted, and protected. And when they chose to act rightly, even across species, they could change the fate of many. Elias had saved a life, earned a trust, and discovered a new purpose. And though the stars above remained endless and indifferent, in that little colony, humanity's heart beat strong, steady, and true.